Hey beautiful people, good morning, or good afternoon, sorry. I am Daniel Olukayode Adeyemo. Thank you for being a part of this week's episode of your Business with Accent Nominees. Last week we looked at, we were made to realize the fact that when we are done with our business registration, and it doesn't end there, our engagement with CAC and other agencies still stands. So, and then we also understand that, some of these obligations can maybe one-off and maybe perpetual, and on the other hand, it may apply to businesses in general, or it can be industry specific. Let me take that again. Some of these obligations we carry out after business registration may be perpetual. That's on one hand, and then sometimes it might be one-off. One-off in the sense that circumstances might make it look like you don't need to go back to carry out that registration again. But on the other hand, you might have to actually from time to time be carrying out that registration. On the other hand, it might be, like I already mentioned, it can be periodic. It can be periodic. That's just like the explanation I just gave right now. So it can also be industry specific, because there are certain agencies that, based on the industry you operate, there are certain agencies that will actually help you with certain registration. And under those agencies, you have certain obligations to perform. All right. So now, trademark being the subject of discourse for today, is kind of like a periodic one. Trademark, if you remember last week, one of the obligations that we're made to realize that is very necessary for every business, after your registration, we are trying to set out, is you need to register your trademark. You have to register your trademark. We'll be seeing some of the reasons why we need to actually look into it in a few moments from now. So now, what is trademark? Now, trademark is simply that unique sign, that unique mark that sets you apart from other brands, that sets you apart from other businesses out there. So it is that mark, that is that thing that comes to mind when an ordinary customer that probably patronized you before, it probably hears a sound, like the person can actually register your business to that sound, or he sees the logo, he knows that this is for this brand. You see something, this is for this brand, all right? So that's basically trademark. Is that thing that sets you apart, in the market, right? So trademark, consists of so many things. It consists of the brand name. It can be your brand name. Brand name like Law Accent Nominees. We have Facebook. Of recent Metaverse, which of course Facebook was removed. Metaverse, right? We have brands like that, and these brands. Once you take a step at registering these brands, they are trademarked. We also have symbols. There are certain signs, there are certain symbols we see that, when you look at, you just know that, oh, this is for this particular brand. We have symbols like, the Nike sign, Yamaha, that Yamaha sign on the keyboards on some of their products. We have those things like that. We also have shapes. We have shapes of recent, I think, not really of recent anyways. One that comes to mind is Ziza, a product by Dangote Group. It's a drink. The shape was actually trademarked as well. So we also have color. Now, to be very honest with you, when it comes to color, it can be a bit tricky, and that's because color, everyone has access to color. It's not so distinctive. But you would agree with me when I say that color is a very, very important factor when it comes to branding. Because some people, when they say certain color, they just know that this is for this, despite the fact that it is not so distinctive. We have MTN that uses yellow. We have Nickelodeon that uses orange. We have Facebook that uses blue. We have these colors, and these colors have actually impacted, the image of this brand out there, right? So now we also have slogans. Yeah, we have, popular slogans, like pick milk, it's in you. So many comes to mind. We also have sounds such as ringtones of phone brand, for example. There's certain ringtones you hear that once of course that when you hear an iPhone ringtone, for example, that this is an iPhone product. When you hear the one for Samsung, Infinix, right? So all these things. But then, to be very, very honest, to be plain with you, based on the law in Nigeria, when it comes to sound, when it comes to, there's one I did mention also, olfactory marks. When it comes to that which you perceive with your nose, like scents, fragrances, companies that actually make these perfumes and all that, there's really not so much protection for those two currently in Nigeria, right? But I believe it's protected all over the world as well. So so why should you actually register your trademark? Why should you register your trademark? To me, this question should be like, why should you not register your trademark? Because you have so much to lose when you don't register your trademark. You see, we call it an obligation. It's not compulsory. No one will force you to come and register your trademark. It's an obligation, but at the end of the day, it pays you more, right? So, one of the things about trademark is that when you register your trademark, it grants you exclusivity in terms of usage. Now, let's take it a bit backwards. You've tried your best, you came up with something, a brand, maybe a brand name that's very distinctive, very, very cool, and then you go ahead and push it out without even making any arrangement as to registering it. At that point, the fact that you've not registered it, no matter how long, let's say you've been using it for 10 years without registering it, and then one person just comes up one day and just, I like this, your logo, or I like this, your something about your trademark, and then the person chooses to use it. At that point, emotions don't come in. The law is the law. You did not register that trademark. The person has the right to use it. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. The person has the right to use it despite the number of years you've been using that trademark. So it is advisable that you register your trademark. When you've put in all the effort to create something that no one has ever heard before. We heard stories like law accents. You might not know the story, but a lot came into the creation of that name, law accent. Prior to the name, a lot of names were submitted and were refused. Now imagine a situation where the founder of law accent came up with the name law accent, a brand, and it didn't do anything about registering the trademark. Someone can want to create a law firm and just be like, you know what, law accent is very cool, and then they just use it. So at that point, there will be no right to actually prevent that person from using the same. So it is very much advisable for you to actually register your trademark. Right. So more to that is that you are able to license for royalties. It gives you the ability to actually license your trademark for royalties. There are other things I need to mention here that I must state very clearly because they're very necessary. Now, on the part of your customers or consumers, it saves them stress because it helps prevent confusion. In a situation where you've been existing, like I said, you've been existing for 10 years and without registering, and no one has ever used your trademark, and then all of a sudden, maybe after 10 years, someone just came and started producing the same thing you produce and then using the same name you use, at that point, your customers might not even know the difference. Of course, they can just buy, and peradventure that product is of low quality compared to yours. It will affect you in so many ways. First of all, you even lose profit. Then it will tamper with the image of your brand. Probably you've been churning out quality products, you've been consistent, and then this other brand comes up using your name, using your trademark whatsoever, and then the customers are confused that which one is this? Is this, and then they taste it and it's like, oh, probably it's an ice cream, and then like, this is not what we used to buy. What's wrong with these guys? And then they just maybe go off to other competitors. So you have a grave disadvantage at this point. So it is advised you register your trademark. So one more thing is this. When the fact that you've registered your trademark doesn't mean people will not still infringe on it. People will not still try to use it. But one thing that this helps you, one thing that registering your trademark helps you with, is that it helps you, it grants you capacity, gives you capacity to be able to bring an action in court, restricting that person from going on with that infringement. Right? So, the fact that you've registered, some people might not, some people don't even care whether you've registered or not, they just pick it and use. So the fact that you've registered it is what helps you at this point. It's what enables you to get a lawyer and then go to court, or or probably send a pre-action notice or something to the person to make the person desist from. There's a letter called desist letter. Is to make the person cease from that act of infringement. But when you've not registered, it's not possible. There's nothing you can do about it. All right. So now, are all marks registrable? Are all marks registrable? So the fact or the truth, is that not all marks are registrable. You cannot come up with a brand of a table, for example. A table, probably you came up with a design so nice, and then you named it table. Table is a generic name. Table, everyone has table. Table in this house, table in that house, in that home, in the office, wherever. So you need to come up with a distinct name. A name, that is not or that is not generic, basically. So it has to be new, it has to be distinctive. for it to be protected. So where the name is scandalous, where the name is immoral, where the name, tends to confuse the audience, or is a name that is already in existence, that has been trademarked by someone else, you won't be able to, enjoy trademark over that name. So you won't be able to trademark that name. You have to actually go a step further and think, to come up with something that people will be able to appreciate even more, right? So at what point should you now register? So the truth is that, see, there's no law stating that you must register at this point. But if you've been following through what I've been saying, one thing that you must have picked is the fact that before setting out to do your business, I gave a scenario before now, before setting out to do that business you want to do, before you've registered, of course, before bringing your stuff to the market, it's advisable that you take a step towards registering your trademark, because it saves you a lot of stress at the end of the day. Now, who can register? The thing is this, you as a person, you cannot just decide, okay, now I've listened to what you're saying, I've done my personal research, I think I should register my trademark, and then you just go ahead and just maybe, it doesn't work that way. There's the Ministry of Trade, is in charge of, everything that pertains to registration of trademarks, patents, and other copyrights, things like we've discussed before. So the Ministry of Trade is in charge of it. It's at that registry, the ministry, that you actually conduct, everything that has to do with registration of your trademark. Now, now there are certain people, right? The registry is just a body, right? There are certain people that will actually go in, that have been empowered to actually go into the registry to carry out some of this, registration for you. We have accredited persons; they must be accredited. We have attorneys, we have agents, we have companies, etc. like that. So some of these bodies or persons are empowered by law to actually register your trademarks for you. So now let's quickly look at some of the processes, in very simple terms. You're going to understand this very clearly. So now, the first thing, when you get your, let's say, your agent, when you get your accredited agent to carry out a search for you, the first thing he does, at the registry, is to carry out an availability search. So it goes ahead and search to, avoid situations whereby you're using a name, that is already in existence, or a name that, falls short of some of those requirements we stated earlier, such as the need for it to be new, distinctive, the fact that it's not immoral, the fact that it's not scandalous, all those factors. You must carry out a search to ensure that, these things are set. There are no issues with this. And then after doing that, you can now proceed to file an application for, for registration. So at this point, what he needs to do, he needs to get your own, you the applicant. Don't forget, you granted him a power of attorney. You've granted him the power to actually act on your behalf, in registering your trademark. So it's for you to provide your detail. It's going to provide, the agent is going to provide your own detail, at the point of filing the application. It's going to provide your details, and it's also going to provide the details of your trademark. The details, everything that pertains to it. There's a form, you get it, and then you fill every detail. Then in submitting, of course, you need to make payment. So you make payment, you submit, you push everything out. So once you actually submit at the registry, there's something, an acknowledgement form is issued to you. So the essence of this form is to confirm the fact that, all right, you've submitted these forms, and they acknowledge the fact that, oh yes, you actually submitted this, you filed, and it is acknowledged. So that's the essence, is to confirm the fact that you've actually submitted, the applications you filled in, and you've made payment as well. So after the acknowledgement form is issued, there's an acceptance form that is given. But this is not given until the registry carries out its own search. Remember the availability search, your agent went ahead and searched on his own, But at this point now, it's the registry carrying out the search, Once they search, and they say, oh, this name is distinctive, this mark is okay, this is fine, they go ahead and publish. But before publishing, they actually grant you an acceptance form. They give you the acceptance form, then they go ahead and publish. And the essence of publishing is, first of all, they publish it in the journal. And that's for people, the outside world, the audience, to come in and say, okay, come and see this mark, this person wants to register. if you have complaint, if you think it looks like your own, please bring your objections, bring it to the registry. And this is to be done within 2 months. So the member of the public, they are expected to actually bring, their complaint, their objections within 2 months to the registry. Now, let's say, okay, there was an objection, of course, and someone brought a series of objections. Now, you have within 1 month of receiving that objection to actually, make your response to it. It's very necessary. But let's say God helps you and there are no objections at all, and then you just submitted, and everything was fine. Then they go on to issue you a certificate, a certificate. That certificate is what shows that, yes, you've passed through all the stages, there are no issues, the name was okay, the trademark was distinctive, was new, or is new and is distinctive, and there are no objections, and then you are issued that certificate of registration. So now, once you are issued the certificate, it goes on for, you enjoy, protection over that trademark for 7 years at the first instance. So after 7 years, you renew, and then you enjoy it for another 14 years, then 14 years, then 14 years. You keep enjoying it, of course, till you pass on. Right. So now let's quickly look at the timeline for completion of registration. Timeline for completion of registration. So this one really, there's no really law stating, but then there's a law that states that once it gets to 12 months of carrying out this registration, it will be deemed that you've abandoned the registration, because ordinarily 3 to 4 months, even less, because you can carry out the registration manually and electronically, so it's very possible for you to actually even complete it within a month or two, right? So at this point, it's very necessary for you to know that the shortest time possible is what is ordinarily required, is what is advised, for you to carry out the registration. All right. So now, does registration of a trademark in Nigeria give it a worldwide protection? So this one is very, very, I'm sure most people might have that in mind already, but then this is what the law states. When you register your trademark in Nigeria, right, the moment you register it in Nigeria, you only enjoy protection in Nigeria. That is what the law states. So you cannot register your trademark here and you want to enjoy same in Ghana or in the Republic of Benin or any of these countries, France, Spain, no. So what if you want to actually enjoy in those countries, you need to go to those countries and make your registration, go and do your registration there. But then, there can be a possibility, there can be a situation where Nigeria, for example, is a party to a convention, and probably that convention, they've agreed that any state party, any citizen in any of these states that registers their trademark under our own system, they will enjoy protection under every country in this convention. Do you get that? So this is what it is. There's a convention, and there are multiple, let's say there are like 5 countries under that convention, right? Let's say Nigeria, let's say Spain, let's say, we have these countries. And then that convention advocates for, protection of trademark. And there's an agreement between these countries that, any person in any countries, any of your states, the country, I'm talking about the countries here in particular. So any citizen in any of our countries in this convention that comes to register their trademark under us, if they agree that, anyone that comes to register under us will enjoy protection in each of those countries that are in the convention, then it's very much possible. That is a possibility under the law. But outside of that, trademark, you only enjoy protection in the country where you registered. And, you can go, of course, you can go extra mile by traveling all over if you can afford to do so, traveling all over to register in those countries to enjoy trademark in those countries, all right? So now, so I think I've said so much, all right? So, but then, one thing that is very important here is, one thing we should actually bear in mind, like we said at the beginning, it's an obligation, it's not by force. It's not by force. But those who have failed in the past to actually, carry out this obligation, they know what they faced at the end, because, you start out with your business, you created a nice trademark, and then you don't register, probably because you think that it's not necessary, and then over time you start to gain, fame and everything, and then someone comes behind you and then just hijacks it. You don't even know about it, and then the person messes up things for you. You have so much to lose when you don't register your trademark. It is very, very necessary, right? So I think with this viewpoint of mine, I've been able to make you realize how much, of a necessity it is for you to actually, take steps towards registering your trademark. Because what you tend to lose at the end of the day, you know, I don't know what to say, but it's very much advisable. So are you just starting out? Have you done your business registration? And you feel like, okay, what? Of course, there are other obligations for you to carry out. Very necessary, there are obligations. But we've just chosen to, come to this place of trademark. It's one of those obligations, and it will really help you a lot. I hope I've been able to make you understand, to the, how possibly you can, take advantage of this trademarking, opportunity. So it's very important for you to register a trademark. I hope you put this to practice. Thank you very much.